He was part of the Weather Underground in the 1970s. They bombed the Pentagon, the Capitol, and other buildings. He's never apologized for that. And in fact, on 9/11, he was quoted in the New York Times saying, "I don't regret setting bombs. I feel we didn't do enough." An early organizing meeting for your state Senate campaign was held at his house, and your campaign has said you were friendly. Can you explain that relationship for the voter?
George, but this is an example of what I'm talking about. This is a guy who lives in my neighborhood, who's a professor of English in Chicago, who I know.
Senator Obama served on a board with Mr. Ayers for a period of time, the Woods Foundation, which was a paid directorship position. And if I'm not mistaken, that relationship with Mr. Ayers on this board continued after 9/11 and after his reported comments, which were deeply hurtful to people in New York. And I would hope to every American, because they were published on 9/11, and he said that he was just sorry they hadn't done more. And what they did was set bombs. And in some instances, people died.
The Illinois senator has said that he regards it as one of his mistakes that he had a relationship on the purchase of his home with a political operative who is facing multiple counts of wire and mail fraud, among other charges. Well, this week, a judge vaulted the name of that operative back into the news, and ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross decided to look into it. Brian.
Good morning, Diane. Senator Obama says no lobbyist would be permitted to work in his White House. And as a state senator in Illinois and now in Washington, he has pushed new ethics reform laws, all of which makes his relationship with an accused Illinois political fixer and influence peddler all the more unusual. His name is Tony Rezko, known in Illinois politics as a backroom operator who did favors and raised campaign money for politicians and benefited in return. Rezko will go on trial next month to face charges growing out of a 3-year-long undercover FBI investigation involving bribes, kickbacks, and extortion. It emerged that Rezko had quietly played a role in Obama's purchase of a new home. Obama bought the house on Chicago's South Side in June 2005, after he had been elected to the U.S. Senate. According to Obama, the owner wanted to sell the house together with a next-door vacant lot, which Obama apparently did not want. Instead, Rezko's wife bought the empty lot for full price, $625,000. And according to Obama, he bought the house, paying $1.65 million for $300,000 under the asking price, all on the same day. But even civics groups that praise Obama's record on ethics were troubled by his involvement with a man of Rezko's reputation.
Our only concern has been the timing and our wish that the senator had been a little bit more sensitive to the emerging dark cloud over Mr. Rezko's head.
For his part, Obama has given a series of various explanations about the deal. First, he told the Chicago Tribune that he didn't recall what his conversations were with Rezko. 4 days later, he told the Chicago Sun-Times that he did recall telling Rezko about the property. Senator Obama told one newspaper that he knew Rezko was under investigation at the time. But the Washington Post says Obama told them he had no idea of Rezko's brewing troubles. The first answer was more accurate. We found more than 100 stories in the Illinois papers in the preceding 5 months, detailing allegations that Rezko was a corrupting influence in Illinois politics. By our count, Rezko and people in his circle have given Obama more than $120,000 for his U.S. and state Senate campaigns. Senator Obama has been a member of the same church in Chicago for 20 years, where his pastor has been Reverend Jeremiah Wright, the man who performed the Obama's marriage ceremony, and the man Obama credits for the title of his book, The Audacity of Hope. Reverend Wright has built a large and loyal following at his church, the Trinity United Church of Christ, on Chicago's South Side. With a powerful voice and his strong words, Reverend Wright can be a mesmerizing presence. He often uses the gospel to affirm his strong political views. as in this 2003 sermon, damning the United States for its treatment of blacks.
The government gives them the drugs, builds bigger prisons, passes a 3-strike law, and then wants us to sing God Bless America? No, no, no. Not God Bless America. God damn America that's in the Bible for killing innocent people. God damn America for treating us citizens as less than human.
I don't think that my church is actually particularly controversial.
During the campaign, the senator has defended what he calls Reverend Wright's social gospel.
So he was one of the leaders in calling for divestment from South Africa and some other issues like that. And he thinks it's important for us to focus on what's happening in Africa. And I agree with him on that.
But an ABC News review of more than a dozen sermons, which are offered for sale by the church, found Reverend Wright going far beyond issues of Africa. He refers to the U.S. as under the influence of the Ku Klux Klan.
And they will not only attack you if you try to point out what's going on in white America, U.S. of KKKA.
He regularly mocks black Republicans as sellouts.
They live below the sea level. They live below the level of Clarence Colin and condemnesia.
In his first sermon after September 11, 2001, Reverend Wright said the U.S. had brought on the attacks with its own terrorism.
We bombed Hiroshima, we bombed Nagasaki, and we nuked far more than the thousands in New York and the Pentagon, and we never batted an eye. We have supported state terrorism against the Palestinians and black South Africans, and now we are indignant because the stuff we have done overseas is now brought right back into our own front yards.
Reverend Wright retired last month, but members of the church say he left a lasting impression on them and Senator Obama.
He spoke the truth, continues to speak the truth, and people can label that as radical, but I think it's insightful.
No, I wouldn't call it radical. I'd call it being black in America. It's not radical. How radical is that?
Reverend Wright declined to comment or appear on this program, as did Senator Obama.
Let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult lifetime, I'm really proud of my country.
The Clinton campaign has been true to its word in employing a kitchen sink strategy. We've been, catching what? 3-4 things a day. This is one of them. It doesn't, I think, change the facts. Thank you. Thank you.
Today, as Obama tried to wrap up a brief impromptu press conference,
stated that the Goolsbee meeting
mayhem.
happened.
Oh, anyway, guys, come on now. I mean, I just answered like 8 questions.
The press corps had a lot more questions.
More questions, come on.
He didn't stay to answer.